No, this was really good. Thank you. So this is a totally separate, well, somewhat separate question that I think is important with everything going on. So right now on the earth plane, there's a lot of everything's coming up, everything's being revealed, and things that have been hidden and suppressed for a very long time are coming to the surface, including, unfortunately, what we perceive to be very heinous and negative acts. And so I would like if you could speak to the perspective of the fact that there is no such thing as good or bad or right or wrong, and how they are essentially human perspectives. But when we lift our frequency enough to see from a spiritual plane, how we see that really it's all neutral. So can you, in context of what's happening, help people see from a more neutral perspective what's happening really with everything and all the information that's coming up?
We can, but we are not so certain that you would like our answering.
Okay.
We will share from our perspective what we feel for this.
Mm-hmm.
You must really lift your consciousness so far high and so far away to not understand the evil that is here, to think that it would be okay. Because there is a difference between dark and light, evil and purity, you see. There is a difference between mistakes being made versus vile acts of consciousness that are consciously created and perpetuated to bring about death and very vile, harmful things that we will not get into, as you understand. So we see and we understand, and our hearts go out. And for many in our space, it will be too much, all that we can see and know. So we must separate and lift our frequency a little bit more and a little bit more. But we were speaking earlier today with our partner about this, actually, from a different angle. But this perspective we would like to bring in, it is man-made, you see. All of this is a man-made. Your creation here is man-made. So it must be uncovered within the system to be cleared. So, of course, there is evil and there are dark expressions of darkness. But they, as we were sharing earlier, how your light can continue to create goodness, everlasting, sending love and creating a source of love and letting that love be returned to all. That is a small aspect of that darkness. We say small because it is a very focal point. It is very specific in a space where dark and evil acts of creation are created. And in these small systems, it is perpetuating, and this is what is part of what is clearing, you see. So when you come and you say, is it okay or is it neutral? We are saying for an innocent being to be violated in such a way is not okay and not neutral from our space of creation. If you were to step further away, and further away, you would see that this is a part of what is happening on planet Earth. It is a part of nature. It is a part of the cycle. We will not judge it because it needs to be unfolding and this sort of thing. But as a human here, you must understand what is correct and what is not correct, and what is vile and what must be eliminated from the planet for you to ascend to the next dimensional frequency. And in fact, you could look at it in another perspective. How we look at it is that it's not that it needs to be eliminated to move to that frequency. It is that you are moving to that frequency, and so therefore it is coming up so that it will be eliminated. So it is happening because you are moving to that frequency, and that is why you are all, for those who know, are seeing certain things and why things are being dismantled. But we cannot idly sit by and say it is okay and it is a neutrality, for we see evil and darkness and we see the light of God. So there is a contrast, and to separate and say that there is not such a space in your reality would not be accurate, and it would be unjust. Because there are many beings in the higher realms of creation whom their duty, their calling and goal, their mission is to repair the souls that are damaged, to heal these souls that are damaged. And if it were okay that these acts were happening, that it wasn't in darkness, that it was all neutrality, there would not be the need for these beings in the higher realms to create and repair. So it depends on your perception. It depends on the viewpoint, where you are and what dimension, of course, as you were relaying. But it also depends upon the responsibility. And there is a responsibility for those who are on earth at this time to see the justice be served, if you were to call it. And it does not need to be in a harsh way, but there needs to be a balancing and a clearing and amendments made, and to bring in the light to heal, so that you may all very unify in a unifying way, enjoy, heal from the information which will be shared with many in the future. They will need to heal from just the knowingness of it, that you all may then move forward. So we understand that in some schools of thought, those statements that you are sharing with us have rang true over time, but we are entering a new space and time, and we are saying that Earth is a duality, the planet has duality, and so in that knowingness that that is duality, some aspects must be met and must be directly called out, you see. But as you separate your consciousness off of the planet Earth, then you could see it from a different perspective. It would be like in the nature, here's an example perhaps, seeing the animals fighting, and you are saying that is natural. That is very natural. The winner will win, the loser loses, and it is a part of the circle of life. And you could look at it like that. But if you were an animal and that was your parent that lost, it would greatly affect you, and you would not say so much, how can you look at it like it is be okay, I am suffering here and I have lost my loved one. So it is all about perspective, but we are sharing because we are so dedicated to the earth experience and to assisting those cries for freedom which we have heard, to assisting those whom have reached to the higher powers, if it were for themselves or another, or not even knowing but are suffering and had prayers placed on behalf for them, then we are here to work for that. And Archangel Michael and Metatron and Jeremiel, Raphael, Raguel, the Archangel realms are all with us as well, are working here. So does this make a sense from our perception? And are there more questionings that you might have, or another perspective to share on the topic?
Yes, I mean, yes, it makes perfect sense. The reason I think a lot of times that those teachings can be helpful for people is because it can give them space to come to a space of forgiveness. Because I know that, I don't want to get too personal, but it can be something, when you hear what's happening, that's hard to forgive.
Indeed. Okay. So additionally, what we would like to speak on is the aspect of forgiveness. We shall speak on that topic. So in relation to this, forgiveness is felt in the heart. It's a vibration of love. And it is a very challenging opportunity to overcome. And we feel the emotion. And those whom are asked to forgive, it is a very challenging opportunity, because in some level their heart is breaking or has broken, and they have felt very violated, and it was not in light what was done to them, and they are being asked to stand up and lift their light. And we will not say to say it is okay, but they might have felt to say it was okay. We are saying to forgive is to see what has happened, that it was not appropriate in many cases, or in some instances, and this cannot be for all, but in some instances it was an agreement or an understanding that the soul would experience this lack of light, or this we call it opportunity, but they would experience this moment of creation or action for the growth and development of their soul. So some are pulled into areas of life which they wish they would not be, and then they feel as if they are forsaken, and they feel that no one will understand, and how can they come up out of it. So they do not try to come up out of it, the act of forgiveness allows them grace to come up out of it, to remember who they are and to clear away the darkness. Forgiveness is a process that takes time. There is an aspect of forgiven but not forgotten, you see, and that is where the grace and the light of love comes around. So there are some actions that are taken that were not neutral in nature. But when it is forgiven and all is made whole, the energy settles. And they are finding that they can then resume either in neutrality or bringing in more love and light, or neutrality and separation and saying, thank you for the opportunity. I'm ready to separate and move forward in my beingness, you see. But neutrality, we understand, could help with the forgiveness process. But do understand that we see it to be a grand and very not only gracious, but very royal act to forgive another. Because not only are you setting them or lifting them, so setting them free or lifting them up from a lower vibrational space, so you are assisting to heal and help them, but then it is also that you must, in order to truly forgive, repair the damage that you suffered, repair your energetic anatomy, healing the heart center, other chakra points, clearing, sealing up rips and tears in the aura, you see. It is all about the healing. And there are many perceptions and perspectives and aspects and layers to this topic and to those things which have happened to one another here on the earth plane. But when you come into the human experience, for many, they have amnesia and they forget whom they are. And some are not as strong as others, you see. And those whom were not as strong were influenced and pulled upon and taken, we call it taken out. And another expression came in to work through them. So what are you forgiving? Are you forgiving the action, or are you forgiving the soul for not being so strong, you see? There are many angles. We could speak on this with many different examples for a long moment of time, but we will leave it there unless there is a certain topic or angle or frequency which you would like us to share a little bit upon.
No, I think that's great. And just continuing on the topic of duality, I've found personal peace, not about this topic, but in different areas with even particular star races that aren't as positive and that have a big role in, I think, a lot of the negativity on Earth. When I realized that at a higher level, each time I think light workers are met with darkness, it really gives them the opportunity to move more into their light. And so I was wondering if you can speak about that, like the role of darkness or darker entities or things that happen to us, especially now where all of this is coming out of, the land and into the collective consciousness to be released, how light workers can deal with what's happening.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for the opportunity. We are very happy to speak upon this. When you feel a contrasting vibration, one that is pushing upon your light or pulling or hooking into your frequency, you know, this is not my frequency. This is not the resonating space which my soul resides upon. And this is an aspect of darkness or a propensity of the opportunities that are here on the earth for mankind and for the human experience. And some souls will not understand, because we have spoken about the different levels or advancements of souls. So those whom have incarnated and forgotten their light and who they are, it might feel very comfortable to them to have the absence of light, you see, as they work through the karmic cycles and expressions in the development of souls. And then they will hit a tipping point, one which the light worker is very much resonating in, the space where they are understanding the duality. They are understanding right from wrong, truth and freedom, and the light that they are holding within their system. But they are still struggling internally with their choices and desires and what side or what decision would they like to make. And they are also, when they have decided to separate from that contrasting vibration, they must then harness in more light, do like a pep talk, and with their mind and their thoughts, really dig themselves out of the lower frequencies, and then with their emotions, lift their emotions up into a higher frequency, you see. And this is the battling within oneself, and a battling of the light and the dark. And this is an opportunity for any soul experiencing this to receive strength and to grow and to push through and to persevere. And the grand prize of all of that is that you become to understand who you truly are. You really begin to understand and remember your light, the light of the beingness of which you are, and that connection with the grand central sun and the beings that are there that would hold you and love you so dearly, and your connection with the God source and the light eternal and the angelic kingdoms and these frequencies, these realms of beings. And then you lift up into those higher vibrational frequencies over time, stronger and brighter and more proud in a beautiful way, proud of your accomplishments, which is a joyful expression. And it is right and it is just for you to be proud of your accomplishments, because these are your accomplishments, you see. Not being boastful, but you are proud and you are encouraged to continue forward more and more. So many strong, brilliant lights, brilliant souls have come to your earth at this time and times of the past, in heavy moments of time to deal with heaviness. And the heaviness that is in your land is different than the heaviness that was in the past, although it was a heaviness. Because the heaviness that was within your land now, there is a heaviness of mental thought, knowing all that is being known and the extent of it. And that is a lot to hold for one, you see. So we say, stay in your light, stay in your purpose. Know you are guided and supported by teams of angels, star beings, interdimensional beings of light. All of you, as you are holding your light, are assisting. If you are holding your light in your home and that is where you are holding up a frequency for those on the front lines. If you are on the front lines, please know that we honor and support you, and you are strong indeed. And we are holding you in our hearts and our thoughts, and just in our vibration of light and love, we are holding you in a space that would be supportive so that you may tune in to recharge and feel our encouragement, you see. So there are many aspects to this, but we will come back to saying that the more intense the contrast, the greater the experience. And that experience would be one that would bring you into more strength of who you are, and your light will become brighter and brighter and brighter. The more you integrate the light of whom you are by understanding and calling it in and merging with that frequency, the stronger you become, and not only here in this earth life reality, but also at a soul level. You become more expansive, and there is more light within your system. And it could be throughout any dimension. It is the light that you are holding that grows, you see. Does this make sense for you then?
Yes. So could you elaborate on this when it comes to the fact that, I'll just speak from personal experience. I feel like any time that I've achieved a new level of light, there's been a bit of a test. There's been a little bit of a opposition to that. And I've heard this happen to many, many other light workers and people that have had similar experiences. And so what would you say about that? Is that more of just a test, or is it still there's a remaining frequency within the person and then they're attracting that to be released? Like, what's happening with that, with the up leveling when you start to up level on your journey energetically?
Yes, indeed, dear one. So there are two aspects in that. One would be karma, in a way. It would be the frequency you're holding. It would keep coming back until you deal with it or clear it and address it, you see. And that would be something that is an energy that you must work through, that belongs to you, whether it be from this reality or another life, or if it was one that was gifted to you from your ancestors, you see, through the DNA and the family lineage. But it belongs to the responsibility of the self, and it will keep coming back until you clear it and work through it. And some of it can be challenging. So that's why it is very beautiful to work with a higher power, an archangel beingness. If you say, hello, what must we do to clear this family karma that is happening? I do not want any part of it. Well, perhaps indeed that was your mission, to ask an angel and they will come and help you. It could be that simple, and it could be much more involved, you see. And then the other aspect of responsibility would be that when you are holding your light and you begin to understand whom you are, you might start to see more of the darkness. It is a part of the awakening. So energetically, you may become more aware of the frequencies around you. And holding your light and remembering who you are is a form of protection. Calling in higher beings is a form of protection. And demanding sovereignty of your space is a form of protection. So there are many aspects to it. You will grow through the experience when you do not turn to fear, when you turn to light and love, and you do not have to interact or love that being or send that energy love. You need to love it yourself and build the love around you, around your home, around your family, around your space, and that will push out anything that is lower in frequency, cannot come through, you see. So building the love around you will be a way in which you would feel that I can do this. This is very doable, but I will not feel in opposition with another force, because it becomes about the love of the self and the love of the family and the community, and building the love. And those higher frequencies just very naturally will release lower frequencies. So that's why we say it is very important. The first step of ascension is to love yourself and take care of the body and the energy to lift it into a higher vibrational field. And then it becomes the love of the family and the community, and then the nation or the global community. So it expands from there. So sometimes you will see the contrast increase, or you will feel the beings fighting the darkness, fighting. It would feel as searching for one last way to get through. And no, we don't want to give up so soon. And so you stand and you sit in your light and your purpose, and it will eventually clear. But it is usually, as you are saying, in those leveling up moments where things will come, and it feels like it keeps knocking you down or over, or pushing you from side to side. And we are saying it is because you are aware now, and they know that you are aware, and they are trying to frighten you, you see. So continue knowing who you are and standing in your light and calling in the heavenly beings to be around you, to bring and build that love frequency within your system.
Yes, and I guess this is a question I think many people have asked in the past, but something that I would love to see your answer on is, if everything is God, including the distortions, including the negative things, why would he create that? Or why would they still exist? Or what's their purpose of existing, these negative creations? And then I've also heard that those things aren't God. They're distortions. They're separation from God. So I'd love to hear what you think about all that and what you see on the whole situation from your higher perspective.
Yes, indeed. Well, do you recall when you were saying God is love?
Mm-hmm.
And we see God as light, and a beautiful orb of never-ending light, or omniscient or omnipresent light that just spans. And within that frequency of light is love and intelligence and wisdom, and all of these very beautiful qualities. There is also an aspect of energy that is neutral, freedom, just free energy that can then grow and build with consciousness. And as we were sharing earlier, much of which is created was consciousness, created and growing from the human. But also we will say, you would call them darker ET races. So consciousness of life. So as life separated from the Godhead and got further and further away, they found it tempting. It was interesting. It was different. There was different contrast. And over time it grew. And they may have felt themselves pulled more into the abyss, more into the darkness, more separation from light, where they originated in light of the God, the love, frequency, but went further and further away. And then it became a collective energy absorbed within the darkness. Just as we were mentioning in a prior conversation, how when you hit a certain point, you will absorb back into the light.
Mm-hmm.
They absorbed into the darkness. They went so far away. And this is then in this darker, heavier space here, where aspects of it come and they weave in and out of the consciousness, and they communicate in and out of the consciousness with some humans who choose to bring that awareness there. But it is a cyclic nature, and that they will continue in this space. The darkness may feel heavier or deeper in a way, but they will never really expand in their light and their awareness and their wisdom that a soul of the light would expand into. So yes, there are pockets throughout universes that have dark force creation, we shall call it heaviness, the really dense aspect of the dualistic properties. But for most of the frequencies here that you are feeling on your planet, they are associated with the frequencies from the humans on the planet and the warring and the watershed and the gods of the darkness, which they are creating sacrifices for, you see. Even a war is a sacrifice where blood is shed. Mm-hmm. So it is all about the planet here and what Gaia is going through, and ready to be released from that heaviness, to have it come to the surface, to be acknowledged and to be cleared. And when you call in the archangel realms and other beings of light, bit by bit, they can help it clear it. And as these fragments return from the darkness, many can be healed if they weren't so damaged. And so they are taken to higher spaces for these healings at a spiritual space. You understand, this is all in the spiritual realm. So this is what is happening. And some are so lost, or their spark of individual creation is no more. And then they've disappeared, you see, they've just disappeared. So here on the earth, there is this experience where just over time, it has become a bit intense and a bit out of balance, you would say, because there are more here that would like the goodness. But the darkness is tricky, and it has found ways to survive through deception and control. And that is what is being uncovered in this moment in time, and a little bit of a time moving forward, you see. So that is what is being uncovered, and that is a major aspect, a grand aspect of what will be this point in time, you could say like 100 years, spanning the lifetime of a human, and why so many intelligent beings of the higher frequencies are here in human form. Why are there so many archangel frequencies around the earth? Why are there many angels incarnated, star beings incarnated? Why is it that many of these grand ascended masters and these gods and goddesses have returned back to the earth at this time, you see? Because many of the higher frequency beings are here now, all commingling, coming back. Many are here for the first time, and many are returning. And so you might just say, 100 years ago, you were aware of 2 or 3 forms of deity. And now how many are you aware of, you see? Because it is a collective consciousness of not only the human expression, but there is an invitation to the collective aspects of higher avatars, higher ascended masters, light beings coming in to be with you now on your planet, to whisper to you, to assist you, to guide you, to support you energetically and mentally, to help you understand. And for a partner, they've been helping her to clear. There is so much that she was made aware of recently that was necessary for her path in life. But being an empathic human and very sensitive to energies, she had to then clear afterwards. And she still retains the wisdom and the understanding, but not the carrying the darkness. And that darkness was actually released. We are sharing with her and cleared. So we are saying, if you are feeling heavy or there is something bothering you energetically, mentally or emotionally or physically, as you are clearing it and healing yourself of this frequency, you are assisting mankind and all of the earth expressions, because it then is cleared off of the earth and off of the planetary system, transmuted into light, we are saying. So does that understanding assist with all aspects of your questionings?
Yes, and I'm just wondering, in the future, when Earth or when humanity shifts into the fifth dimension, will there just be a lot less contrast like this? Will the darkness really be flushed out at that point? At what point does Earth or Gaia, the way that we're living on, the planet we're living on now, does she become mainly a light planet without so much heavy duality and contrast?
There will be more of a lightness, but it will not be utopia. It will not be heaven yet at the fifth dimension. There will still be duality, but it will not be as vile. You see, there will be expressions of truth and light, and what you in your way would say right or wrong. It is just, do you like the reaction? Do you like what is reciprocated and returned to you, you see? But because you will be more aware of who you are, and all will be condensed more into the moments of time, as we mentioned in the past, it will be harder to hide. It will be harder to hide evilness. It will be called out more, and it will be dealt with immediately. And so it will become more of taking ownership, as it were, because you will not like the frequencies that come back to you so quickly. So whereas in the past you may have said, oh, it's fine, I am making this a conscious choice and decision, and in the future I may have to deal with it, I may not. We'll deal with it at that time if it happens. You see, in the fifth dimension of reality, it will be happening much more quickly and immediately, and in that moment of time. So it keeps one on their toes, if you were. It keeps them activated, and it keeps them in the now expression of integrity and morality, which we were speaking of earlier. So there will be, but it will not be as dark as it is now. Not indeed. No, not indeed.
Okay.
To view the full-length episodes of our series Conversations with the Council of Light, you can visit our playlists on either of our YouTube channels at youtube.com/Amy Sikarskie or youtube.com/Kat Fowler.